One of the best things about a hotel is when I travel is I always look for one with a nice gym. Even the 2-star hotels, nice gym. They have all the equipment I need to get my workout in, and I have to work out. Okay, it's free. It's free at the 2-star and at the ultra high end. It's free to work out. Okay, the difference is in the 2-star hotel, nobody uses it. None of the customers use it, which blows my mind away. None of the customers use it. Contrastingly, at the higher end hotel, a lot of the customers use it. A lot of customers use the gym, which is free at the higher end hotel. Why do you think that is? Why do you think there's more utilization of the gym at the higher end hotel and not so much usage at the lower end hotel?
Bam.
Yo, what is up, everybody? This is the End-to-End Podcast, and I'm your host, Dr. Yun Win. And as my friends affectionately call me Ninja, you all, my fans, can call me Ninja too. This is the End-to-End Podcast, the Alpha to the Omega, the beginning to the end, talking about life, motivation, drive, success, entrepreneurship, and offering you morsels in this all-you-can-eat buffet called life. It is a hot August Monday, but I'm thankful. I'm thankful for the day, thankful for the opportunity to be here. And if you're new to the podcast or if you're listening again, you all know that I always start my podcast the same way I start my day, and that is with an expression of gratitude. So thank you all out there who have liked, followed, commented, and especially shared the podcast or any of the reels on social. Thank you so much. If you're new to the podcast, I don't get any sponsors for this show. I do everything on my dime, on my time. So the only way we can grow the show or share the message or spread the message along to our mission, which is to inspire billions of people across the planet, we have to share the show. So as I like to say, if your knowledge swole, share the show. That's how we grow. Recently got the stats back for the mid-year performance of the podcast, and wow, I was floored by how well this show is growing. So thank you all very much for doing that. And that's how we grow. So if you find value, knowledge, inspiration, just a spark, just something to think about, please do share the show. Summer's winding down. Kids are going back to school. And I've spent the entire summer with my son basically every weekend traveling. If you're new to the show, I have a son, 16, going into 11th grade. Pretty good basketball player. So he's got hopes and dreams of playing at the next level, which requires us to go showcase across the country. And so it's been a grueling, arduous summer. But my point is that I've mentioned in the past about if you're ever feeling down or in a rut, if you're just not motivated, you hit a slump, one of the best things you can do is go grab coffee in a high-end hotel, right? And I'm going to tell you why in a minute. But the reason I mentioned the high-end hotel is because over the course of the summer, as I'm traveling or we're traveling, we've stayed in different varieties of hotels, from your 2-star to your 4-star, because some of these colleges are in small rural towns. They don't have, for example, a Four Seasons or something like that in that town. Whereas in a big city like Miami or anywhere else on the East Coast or even on, wherever we went, where there's an opportunity to stay in a nice hotel, we stayed in a nicer hotel. And it reinforced the concept or the contrast of why, if you can afford it within your budget to the max budget you can possibly afford, whether you're ultra successful entrepreneur, business owner, intrapreneur, career person, or you're just getting started or you're wanting to move up, whatever your budget can afford, there's a reason you should spend a weekend, a night, a day, don't even check in, why you should spend time in a higher end hotel. The main reason is the environment, as you all know, can influence your thoughts and therefore your feelings in a very powerful way if you're open to it. If you're not distracted on your phone or if you're really observant, your environment can really influence how you feel, what you think. It'll help you introspect, and in the alternative, help you think about or inquire to yourself or introspect on what you need to do next to get to that next level or next step or whatever you need to do to get out of that rut. When you go to the higher end hotel, you will see how they operate. The people, the patronage, the customers, the clientele, how they move, how they behave, how they speak, how they operate in that realm, right? And that in itself, you will notice that, because obviously if to stay in these, $400 or $500, sometimes $1,000 a night rooms, basic rooms, I mean, you're not talking about the suite or the penthouse where it's, $5,000 to $15,000 a night. These people, the customers at least, have achieved a certain level of quote unquote success, at least economically, to afford that. Right? And so when you're there, that you can just go, you don't even have to check in. Just go sit at the bar or go into the lounge and order a coffee, order a lemonade, whatever your budget allows, order a cocktail, whatever. But observe, just sit back and observe how the customers come in, how they respond to, the valet or the bellhop or whoever, how they are they appreciative, how they are, how their mannerisms are, how grateful for they are. Some you'll get across the board. You'll get some people that are kind of pretentious and, good for them, but that's not what I'm into. But you'll get the people that handle themselves a certain way at that level. Okay? And the reason I suggest this is that sometimes you got to fake it to make it. So if you understand how these quote unquote financially successful people move, maneuver, speak, right? You'll be able to emulate those things and start absorbing them into your own mannerisms so that you're conducting yourself that way and you're changing your vibration that way so that you're moving, speaking, reacting, conducting yourself as would somebody of a high value would. Okay? I guarantee you there is very few, probably less than 1% at these super high-end hotels conducting themselves in what I would say, quote unquote, a low-value kind of way, right? Trailer park kind of way. Nothing against trailer park people. I'm just saying that's a stereotype, let's call it, or kind of a trashy kind of way, using, poor behavior, disrespecting people, being loud, trying to gain clout, all these things. They don't move that way. They move with a quiet confidence, a successful confidence, and they treat people with respect, right? Similarly, as the clientele, you look at the staff, the difference between the ultra high end and like nothing against a 1-2-star hotel, but the difference is how they treat their clients, how they create an experience within the higher end hotel, and how they pay so much attention to the littlest detail to create that experience. So you look at it in two ways, right? You look at it in the sense of a client, of a customer of the high-end hotel, imagining yourself as that person. Male or female, doesn't matter. Young or old, doesn't matter. And you watch them as they pull up to the valet, as they get out of their car, as they watch the bellboy grab the luggage, as they go through the door, how they walk, how they talk, how they hold themselves up. There ain't nobody coming through slouching, oh, woe is me at a high-end hotel. They're coming in with a certain level of expectation for themselves, but for the experience they're about to receive, for the money that they're going to pay. That is where you can model your own behavior after. Put yourself in the role. Imagine yourself in that role. Now, on the flip side is if you're in business, look at how the staff treats these people. If you own a business that's you want to cater to these more affluent individuals, look at how the staff treats these affluent individuals. They pay attention to the minute detail to make the experience as seamless and enjoyable as possible. So if you're in a service business, whether you own it or you're in it as an employee, an entrepreneur, You can model your business behavior as the staff would in a higher end hotel. Throughout this experience, you're just absorbing all of this quote unquote wealth, right? Of knowledge, of course, but then also the wealth materialistically, monetarily, how things operate at that level. These are things you will not get at a 1-2-star hotel. Not at all. Not at all. And so in the contrast or the concepts, as if you stay at one of these places, and as I've stayed throughout the summer and, like I said, 2-star and ultra high, classy places, quote unquote, the thing I notice also about the clientele, one of the best things about a hotel is when I travel is I always look for one with a nice gym. Even the 2-star hotels, nice gym. They have all the equipment I need to get my workout in, and I have to work out. Okay? It's free. It's free. At the 2-star and at the ultra high end, it's free to work out. Okay? The difference is in the 2-star hotel, nobody uses it. None of the customers use it, which blows my mind away. None of the customers use it. Contrastingly, at the higher end hotel, a lot of the customers use it. A lot of customers use the gym, which is free at the higher end hotel. Why do you think that is? Why do you think there's more utilization of the gym at the higher end hotel and not so much usage at the lower end hotel? Again, that is where people that have achieved a certain level of success understand the importance of physical fitness for your health, for your mental clarity, for your mental health, but also the analogy of life to get successful. You have to put in the hard work. You have to put in the hard work, the discipline, the understanding that results aren't immediate, right? But then also just working out makes you feel good. Okay? These are concepts that, generally speaking, people that aren't on the path to success, or people that don't understand the path to success, don't understand, and therefore they don't go to the gym and they don't work out. There is a direct correlation to physical fitness or the desire for physical fitness, or just going through the activity of physical fitness, and a level of success. There's a direct correlation. Okay? For some reason, at the lower end hotel, the patrons, they don't use the gym. Okay? And this is nothing against, lower income folks or whatever the case may be. This is nothing against the lower end hotels. I've stayed in plenty of them, and I've enjoyed many of them. But my point being is that there's a certain level of differentiation or contrast between the customers at the higher end hotel versus the lower end. And again, the concept of this podcast is try to get into the higher end hotel if you can afford it. Whatever the max you can afford, and you will see this contrast. Whatever in your city, in your town, or the nearest big city, you will see the contrast. And I say this to say that, to illustrate, clearly there's a cost difference between 2-star and, 4-star, 5-star. Cost difference. But what I'm trying to say is that the way the business is operated at the higher end and the customers is there's a certain standard at that level. There's a certain standard amongst all that environment. And so if you're trying to level up, or if you find yourself in a rut, you want to target that standard at the higher end. You want to target the standards held by the people at the higher end. Okay? It is, if you open yourself up and have an open mind to absorb those vibes at the higher end hotel when you go, again, I challenge you to go. In fact, please go. Whoever's listening, please go and put in the comments to this podcast. If you're on YouTube or on Instagram, we'll put a post about this podcast. Please comment your experience as you go. But as you go to these places, observe, 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 observe. Take mental note. How do these people conduct themselves? What is their energy vibe? What is their expectations? What are they trying to achieve? What is the experience they're looking for as customers, as operators? How are they meeting these expectations? How are they going above and beyond? How are they treating people lower than them? Okay, you can always, a great expression my dad taught me when I was young is you treat the janitor as you would treat the CEO. That's a good person. Okay? In fact, I actually go out of my way to treat the janitor better than the CEO. Right? Because they're doing, nothing against janitorial work, but they're doing the shit work. They're cleaning up the shit. And it takes a certain type of person to be willing to put the ego side aside to do that, just to make money. And so I actually treat janitors better than I do sometimes executives. But my point being is that watch how these people operate, how they move, and try to emulate that or envision yourself being that person. I do it all the time. I love people watching. I will sit back, cup of coffee, read a book, look up, and I will watch people all day long. Just because I'm a student of human behavior, human psychology, how things work, the interaction between people, right? These are things you can pick up for almost free, right? Find free parking, go in for a cup of coffee. It's going to cost you at a high-end hotel maybe $8. Sit there for 2-3 hours, take notes to yourself. How do these people work? That's, ladies and gentlemen, that's an $8 education that you will not get in any business school. And it'll pay bigger dividends than any business school if you utilize and apply the knowledge you gain into that. Now, here's the added benefit. Of spending time in a high-end hotel. You might be at the bar or in a lounge. Somebody sits next to you. If you're brave enough and bold enough to strike up a conversation, who knows where that relationship might evolve into? I've had many conversations sitting next to a random stranger at a high-end hotel where all of a sudden there's some commonality and potential business to be done. All because you put yourself in that environment. Right? Do you think that's going to happen at a two-star hotel? Right? Those people in that environment don't even go work out. They won't even get out of the room. Right? These hotels in downtown business districts, you go there, you sit there, a cup of coffee at the bar or whatever, people are going to come up and order something and you strike up a conversation. It is as simple as, hi, how you doing? What brings you to the hotel? That is it. That's just a piece of gold for you, how to get out of your comfort zone and talk to somebody in a hotel. Because not everybody's going to the $600 a night hotel. So there's a certain level of kind of social etiquette, I'll say, at these hotels where you understand if you're able to get to that hotel, you understand, if you're truly there for, like you paid for the room and all, there's a certain expectation that the people that stay at this hotel have reached a certain level of success. And to get to that level of success, you have meet certain requirements, so to speak, intangible requirements to get there. You hold yourself to a certain standard to be able to build your income, to be able to stay there. So when you're there, now it's like sitting in first class. It's easy to strike up conversations because you've reached a certain level as your peer. So when you're at these hotels, it is as simple as, hey, my name is Yun Nguyen. How are you? What brings you to the hotel? You never know. Oh, I'm here just traveling, here for a business meeting. Oh, what kind of business are you in? Boom, there you have it. Oh, that's interesting. Tell me a little bit more about your business. It's as simple as that. And so when you're in that environment, you got so many benefits that you can build upon to get you out of the rut or look to move to that next level. And I guarantee you, no one's going to kick you out unless you're acting a fool As I said, there's a certain level of behavioral expectation. And culturally, I will say this, and this is just an observation, not a knock on any type of culture, but you see celebrity musicians that act gangster and tough and all this, they're performing. Obviously, these artists have wealth, they have money. And so when they go to these places, I guarantee you, they are not acting tough, gangster, that quote unquote culture. They don't behave that way in real life. Just look at 50 Cent. He's walking around now in suits. Because why? His rap game is over. He's looking for business deals. He's looking to level up business-wise. Right? He's in the next, I just saw a preview. He's in the next Expendable movie with Sylvester Stallone and all these iconic Hollywood celebrities. He's walking around in suits, talking straight, proper grammar. He's like there. Right? He's not walking into the Four Seasons in his, SWAT, whatever, bulletproof vest like he is on stage. He's not doing that. So the point being is go to these places, whatever your budget can afford. Try to hit the highest end hotel you can in preferably a busy time, like happy hour or whatever, and just observe. Just observe. Breakfast time is a great time because everybody's moving, doing their next thing, trying to get to the next meeting. Lunchtime, great time. People coming in, taking a break, grab the lunch. Business meetings are happening in these hotels, so you'll see these lunch business meetings. And then, as I said, happy hour. Gets crowded. People, how to socialize in a non-business contextual environment. Very, 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 very cheap education. Tuition is cheap to learn these qualities, these standards, and how to conduct yourself. Again, this piece of advice is reserved for those that really want to level up. It is such an easy thing to do. Such an easy thing to do. Probably cost you less than $20 if you're not staying overnight. Maybe $10, $15 valet, $5 cup of coffee, sit there, watch, observe. And if you're lucky, strike up a conversation. Okay? Just something on my mind as I was traveling the country. I mean, literally traveling every weekend, supporting, my son's hoop dreams. But just an observation, as I've stayed in 2-star hotels and 5-star hotels, there is a stark contrast. A stark contrast between the operators and clientele of the lower end hotels and of the clientele and the operators of the higher end hotels. If you want to level up your success, get into that environment of the higher end hotel. Get into that environment. It is gold. It is gold if you want to level up to the next if you want to level up. And again, this is by no means a knock against the lower end hotels of the people that stay there. I stay there. It's part of the process as you leveling up. You got to do what you got to do, right? What your budget can afford. This is merely observational and advice to help you understand what it takes, the behavior, the thought process, the standards, the opportunities, what it takes, an easy way to get you either out of a rut or help you level up or give you that drive and motivation that you can achieve to that next level. Envision yourself pulling up in that Ferrari, Lambo, McLaren, Rolls-Royce, Bentley, whatever it is, Aston Martin, pulling up to that valet, stepping out, handing the valet the keys, the bellhop gets your luggage, you walk into the hotel, prideful, chest out, shoulders back, chin up, with class, dignity, respect, and confidence. That is what we're looking for. That is what we're looking for. And to this point, let me give you an example of why it matters. And it just dawned on me right now that when I was younger, now I'm the youngest of 4 boys. We immigrated from Vietnam with my parents brought us over from Vietnam after the Vietnam War in 75. In the 80s, they created a printing business, and that's the environment I grew up. Very, very successful small business. In the 80s and 90s, doing $4 or $5 million a year, had about 50 employees, the true American story. But before they hit big success, I remember as a young boy that at least once, if not twice, every month, whether my parents could afford it or not, we would go for Sunday brunch at a high-end hotel. And back then, it was buffet brunch. And so, we would go to the Four Seasons. We would go to, back then, there was a super high-end Hilton in the Galleria in Houston. And it was just opulence, just oozed with money and success. And we would go, and you would have exotic meats, exotic seafood, a carving station, all the pastries you could want. Like, it was just opulent. And you're talking about for the 80s, in the 80s. For some of you born in the 2000s, you have no idea, but 80s best decade ever. Anyway, it was just opulence. And it impressed upon me as a young man that I'm looking at my parents who speak not a lick of English in the 80s, running 40, 50 employee business, generating 4 or 5 million in revenue in a country they don't even understand the culture. But here we are surrounded by this opulence. And that word just keeps resonating because that's the experience I recall as I'm, just a snot-nosed punk of a kid walking around asking, these people, give me another slice of roast beef, or give me another crab leg, or give me 5 chocolate croissants as I'm 10, 12 years old. And that, I think, subconsciously built the impression that, hey, man, this is the good life, and this is what I want for my family and my kids, and so on and so forth. And so my point being is that they couldn't afford to stay at the hotel. They couldn't afford to stay at the hotel, but my parents, and I'm grateful to them, would take my brothers and I every week, at least once a month or twice a month, for brunch at these super high-end hotels, just to get that experience, just to feel and taste, literally taste what it's like to be that environment of success, of achievement, of having standards. And we would get dressed up. My dad would be in a suit. I'd try to put on whatever I could as a 10, 12, whatever I was, to match. But it was that level of experience and understanding what it's like to achieve that level of success. So that's just a stark example of what I recall just now, why putting yourself in that environment is so important. So glad to be back in the studio on a hot August day. For all of you kids going back to school, good luck this year. For all you parents, please support your kids. It's an opportunity to be great every day. So as always, I'm grateful for you all. Be great today. Be even more grateful if you learned something today. Like I said, if you go stay at one of these higher end hotels, please do share, email me, DM me what your experience was like, whether I'm right or wrong. Prove me wrong. I would love to hear that. But if you have a great experience, please do share it. I love to share testimonials on my show. And who knows, maybe I'll invite you on to the podcast to share your experience so that the rest of our audience can understand and learn from your experience. So grateful for you all. Be great today. Be even more grateful. If you're a knowledge soul, please do share the show. That's how we grow. Thank you very much. Looking forward to bringing you another episode of the End-to-End Podcast very, very soon. What's up,